I love working in the yard. I could not do that a couple of years ago. I could not do it. I was just so out of breath.
Lori Beard says she feels better now than she's felt in nearly 15 years. But it wasn't that long ago that she was given a terminal diagnosis.
The way they were talking, you know, I felt like it was not a long time.
A specialist in the Midwest where she lives with her husband told her she had a rare and incurable type of heart cancer.
He said, you have leiomyosarcoma. And really, there's nothing we can do.
That was awful, you know, somebody you love and the sweetest person in the whole world, would do anything for anybody, and such a good-natured person. And to think that she was no longer going to be with us.
I got the phone call that she had cancer, terminal cancer. I was told terminal cancer at work.
I am known as a very strong person, but I have learned that I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Lori grew up near Augusta, Georgia, where her mother and siblings still live. Younger sister Melissa works as a research nurse there. When she heard about Lori's diagnosis, she arranged for doctors at Emory to look over her sister's medical records for a second opinion.
We found that Emory Healthcare was a site for sarcoma, which is what she was diagnosed with.
While Emory was still reviewing Lori's medical history, Melissa hopped on the next plane to the Midwest. By the time she landed, Lori was already planning her funeral.
She said, you know, if this is God's will, then so be it. And yeah, she told us where she wanted to be buried, which was at the cemetery at Hillcrest and next to my grandmother. So yeah, that was very emotional.
Before Melissa brought Lori back to Georgia, doctors associated with Emory Special Diagnostic Services had determined that she didn't have cancer after all and called her in for a full workup.
These are not patients you can walk in the office and in 10 minutes or 15 minutes have a diagnosis and send them out.
Dr. Douglas Morris, who heads up Emory Clinic, was among the first Emory doctors to look over Lori's case. In fact, the Special Diagnostic Services Clinic is largely his brainchild, a real-life medical evaluation center similar to the fictional one portrayed on the popular TV series House MD.
I felt that Emory was an institution that had all the subspecialties of medicine covered, and so they had the opportunity to have people come to one site and see all the physicians needed to diagnose and treat their condition.
Another doctor on the case was Wendy Book, who was instrumental in figuring out the actual cause of Lori's problem. Dr. Book was also part of the team that conceived the idea for a diagnostic clinic at Emory.
So very much like the house concept on television.
But Dr. Book's interest was more than just professional. Her son suffers from a rare condition that had initially cast her family on a grueling odyssey of misdiagnoses and wrong treatments before they finally had to go out of state to get answers.
That was really eye-opening for us to get to that point where you've seen every specialist in the city and you realize that no one can help you and no one even knows where to send you. And there you are on your own, having to figure out where to go.
Now patients with difficult to diagnose conditions can come here for specialized screenings and evaluation by a comprehensive panel of Emory experts.
You have to be very open to the possibility that you don't know what the diagnosis is and that it's not going to be obvious. You have to be very open-minded, willing to think, willing to pick up the phone, to ask other specialists for help, think outside the box, and that's what makes a good diagnostic physician.
Dr. Clyde Parton heads up the Special Diagnostic Services Clinic, Emory's own version of Dr. House, you might say.
I like to pay attention to patients' occupations, their family life, where they grew up, and that sort of thing, to get an idea of just what their life is like.
All right, take some deep breaths through your mouth.
Dr. Parton and his colleagues in the clinic routinely take the time to examine patients and scour over tests, teasing out a diagnosis and then referring the patient to the appropriate Emory specialist for treatment.
If there's an answer, we'll leave no stone unturned in trying to find out what that answer is.
Lori Beard's unturned stones revealed that rather than terminal cancer, she had a diaphragmatic hernia and an aortic root aneurysm. Serious conditions to be sure, but very treatable if caught in time. She had 2 operations to fix the problems and is now making a swift recovery.
She seems healthy. She's got pep in her step. She can get up and go do things.
I don't really know what would happen if we hadn't gone to the diagnostic center. Might not have ever been found, and we might not have ever pursued anything else. We would have just maybe accepted this diagnosis.
We learned that something can be done if somebody's there to point you in the right direction. And we were pointed in the right direction. We came back to Georgia, you know, to Emory.
This video was made possible by generous donations from Emory healthcare employees and the community. To make a gift that makes a difference to patients and families, please call 404-712-GIVE. Thank you.